Welcome everyone to Elevate and Evolve. Today we are going to go through the final two steps. Step 7, take inspired action, and step 8, to celebrate. Woo! Got the balloons behind me and it's just that excitement to have all of the steps that you need to have what you want. The steps that allow you to manifest what you want, free from the guesswork. And so today we are going to go through the final two steps so you have all the tools in the toolkit. Now, what I want to do first is just to go over everything that we've covered so that you can have an insight to how this has all come together and to celebrate your journey of everything that you have been applying to manifest what you want. So first, we started off with step 1, define what you want. And most people kind of freeze when you ask them that question. What do you want? There's either this big span of ideas, like a whole ream of movies going through their mind of like, oh my gosh, the options are endless. What can I have? Or they kind of shut down because they've been taught throughout childhood to not ask for what they want. So the question can be quite daunting if you're unfamiliar with that insight. Okay, yes, what do I want? So that's where we started off with that beautiful sacred question, what are you manifesting? What's important to you? And we went all the way back to put your hand on your heart, connecting with that intuition, and to find out if you did manifest what you wanted, what would your finances look like? Who would be cheering you on? Where would you travel? What adventures would you go on? Where would you live? What kind of work would be really fulfilling for you? And what kind of relationships would you nurture and welcome into that inner circle? And of course, what does your health and well-being look like? What is it that you want to manifest? Now, the reason that you don't have what you want is because there is some level of resistance, some block, some skill, something that has been holding you back. And we started right at the beginning with identifying, yes, there's a part of you that knows what you want, and yet there's another part that's putting on the brakes. We explored how it's protecting you, and based on beliefs from childhood about not asking for what you want, having good manners, waiting your turn, we saw that this particular old way of being is putting the brakes on so that you didn't have to deal with the big deal consequences of getting in trouble or or whatever it was in your childhood that you are avoiding. As an adult, knowing that you are no longer a child, you do have the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to speak up. We gave that part that's been holding you back a voice to be heard and to breathe that sigh of relief. And then we brought those two parts together so that they could come back into alignment. And this, my friends, this is what alignment means, is to not be pulled in two different directions, coming into alignment with what you wanted. And so here we would explore, if we were in that group setting, what is your main takeaway from this? Did it inspire ideas to know that, yes, there actually has been a part that's protecting you, not from sabotage, not from malice intention, just based on your life experience to say, oh, if I speak up, I get in trouble, so don't do that. And so turning this around, right, is like, there's some pretty interesting insights into knowing that you were doing what you needed to do to navigate this world. And having the next steps moving forward means that you don't have to be held back by those old limitations. Then we explored an interesting step to understand why you want what you want. In the social media world, everybody talks about, okay, know your why. But this is Elevate and Evolve, and we took this one step further. If you have a look at your motivation about your why, you'll notice that you'll either be pulled again in two different directions. I want financial abundance, and you may want it because it means that you won't have to financially struggle. Or you may be motivated to create what you want in your future, and you want that financial abundance because it will mean that you have that fulfilling life, the freedom to choose, and all of the riches and the wealth to make your life, your family's life, so much more fulfilling. So we had a look at the different directions that you can be pulled when it comes to your why. One way is on the path to burnout, to push, to force, to hustle, because there's an underpinning of scarcity and lack. Maybe your parents got divorced, or there was poverty or financial issues in the past, and you said to yourself, I will never ever go through this stress. And so you become successful at work, or you push, and it's never enough. There's this emptiness within that makes it really hard to get that satisfaction and that fulfillment, because you are forever trying to get away from problems of the past. The problems of the past stay alive instead of turning around your manifestation to create something new, something exciting, something wonderful that is about moving forward. We also had a look at the question, what are you tolerating? And where are you shooting yourself? Now, if you're just tolerating like a messy shed, a messy linen cupboard, tolerating the shoes that pinch, not asking for what you want or need the help with those smaller things, how are you going to ask for help with the bigger deal things that you really do want? So this early stage is about recognizing you do have a voice and you do have the option to choose. And you also have the option to stop shooting yourself. You know those moments when people ask for your assistance or your help, and it's like, yeah, okay, I should, to maintain that relationship, or I should put other people first, and then I'll deal with my needs second. We introduced the idea of bringing in the word could. I could help you, yes, but after I do this thing for myself. And being able to give your nervous system the relief that it knows that you're not automatically going to jump into action for someone else, that there is consideration for what you need. And we've seen this in Elevate and Evolve when people are like, oh, okay, I should get up on Sunday and work, versus actually, I could have breakfast with my partner, have that nourishing time between each other, and then spend time on work where I actually, in the zone. I got my needs, my battery's full. So it's really bringing in simple awareness to what's been holding you back. Then we introduced your intuition. Not that you don't know your intuition, but we introduced the way that you can connect more into your intuition to make sure that the alignment towards what you want is with your intuition. So we connected there with the heart space, opening up that feminine portal to what's possible, allowing your intuition to speak through you, like getting those downloads from your higher self. And then we took those to the mind. And the mind is very logical, rational, and it will provide you the steps on how to do the thing that you need to do. And of course, then we bring that into the gut, and the gut then gives you the pulse of inspiration to take action, yes, or just pause a little. We need to wait for the right time when everybody else has got things set up. So we've got that flow of how to manifest that is in alignment, that will uplift your energy. Because we also know that if you start your manifesting from the mind, okay, logically, what do I want? You're going to find that you may be doing things to help others or to prove to others that you're good enough, or needing to control the situation. And this is the recipe for burnout. If you're going into the mind to work out how, it's going to bring in scarcity patterns. It's going to get you to push, hustle, force, the path to burnout. So it's like, no. Come back into the present moment, into the heart space. Of course, when you're manifesting, it can be quite easy to slip into doubt, slip into neediness. Okay, where is it? Like, am I on the right path? And we brought in the requirement to start to look for the signs and the synchronizations, the symbols, the angel numbers, the whatever it is that's right for you. Noticing that Mother Nature will probably speak first with feathers, birds, insects, ladybug, or anything here, that it is normally the very first thing to respond to your manifestation. If you say, okay, yes, tell me that I'm on the right path, show me a white feather, show me a yellow daisy, show me a daffodil, show me anything here that matches up so I know I'm on the right path. And so then after that, we start to look for the angel numbers and getting more into depth with exploring that confirmation that, yes, you're on the right path. Now, the reason that we did that right in the early stage was to practice coming back to that present moment. You know those moments when you're kind of either on a walk or a drive, or you're just in the doing mode and your mind's going nuts and it's in a spiral and a loop and he said and she said, and then you see the white feather and it, oh, I'm in the present moment. You see the clock go 111, you're like, oh yeah. And it brings that presence, the stillness, back to this moment. This is when your intuition, your higher self, can give you those downloads to put you into that experience of like, oh yes, call that person, take action on this thing. Instead of letting your ego run the show by getting you outside of time, back into the past, and he said and she said, and I wish I could have, or worried about the future, gosh, what if I don't get my job or the money, blah, 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 blah. This is all that ego trying to ensure your survival, the limitations, the scarcity, dropping your energy, again, into survival. So looking out for those signs, those synchronizations, the angel numbers, was a way to build the muscle to come back to this present moment. So you didn't need to meditate to come back to the present moment. You didn't need to slow down or stop what you were doing. It was a way to elevate your energy and like, oh, how can this get any better? As I've said, with the ego, like the ego is going to work when you are worried about past. It's going to worry about when you're going into the future. It's going to replay limiting beliefs. I'm not ready. I'm not worthy. I'm not safe. It's going to trigger urgency, anxiety, self-doubt, seeking, needing external validation, overthinking. Yeah, I feel my energy just going tense as I'm talking about it. So that's why we then, again, come back to the present moment, because the interesting thing with divine timing and being in that present moment is that it creates a chain of events of more present moments. And so then you are amplifying and accelerating your manifestation because you're in that zone. So yeah, in a group we would say, cool, what's your main takeaways? What's the new aha or the new perspective that you've gained just from this step alone? Because there was a lot in it. It went pretty heavy and pretty light, all in one particular chapter. The next one, we moved into the emotions. Ooh. Oh, I enjoy talking about the language of emotions and the questions that the emotions ask us to consider. So we broke it down into small steps to know that when you are engaging with this reality, when you're manifesting what you want, a big part of that is to notice when your energy is dropping versus taking action to lift yourself, elevate. So in our day-to-day world, we will see things, hear things, smell things, and our body is going to respond to the external stimuli. Here I've got my baby photo of Lily. I mean, Lily's now in her 20s, but you see something that you adore, your heart flutters with excitement, and then the mind names it. It means that I'm feeling in love. And so when we notice that this is the strategy of how we put meaning to our experience, it's like, yes, if I see something I like, I feel good, and I have that belief that, yes, I want more of this. And to contrast that with something that's been triggering, I may hear my boss say something confrontational, my heart races, I've got sweaty palms, I feel like my skin is crawling, and it means that I'm no good, or whatever it means, whatever belief that you've got there. So if you take notice of these strategies of what's dropping your energy, I hear my boss say something confrontational, I don't take it personal, and so then I get on with my day. It's a key piece here when it comes to your emotions to really be mindful about what's stopping you from having what you want. And so, yeah, we explored that. We explored what you're responding to that's dropping your energy. So often when people are manifesting and they haven't seen results, it's usually because they've been living by this rule that the other person should come first, me second. And so there's this need to make sure somebody else is okay, comfortable, so that you avoid conflict, so you're safe. You avoid confrontation, so you have connection. You avoid the rejection, so you feel in control. You people please, you do what you can. And to get that significance, right? Now, it's this particular dilemma that was playing out in childhood. Yes, you needed to make sure your caregiver was going to be pleased with you so that you could get what you want. But now that the caregiver isn't there, now that you're independent and have that individualization, who are you? What's important to you? Who are you not as you move through this world? And of course, when you start to put your needs first instead of ignoring your needs, pursuing what you want with excitement and passion and all of the good things, your energy lifts. You become magnetic. The relationships that you have feel connected and nurturing. It's easy to say yes to that opportunity to be on stage and make an impact, or to go on that retreat, or to say yes to that job, or go on that adventure. You have the energy. You're not depleting yourself anymore, worried so much about what everybody else thinks. And so this starts to break down the blocks and the resistance that's been holding you back from what you want. We start to notice that, yes, all of these limiting beliefs about where you're shooting yourself, you're tolerating the old identity of that you had to live by when you were a child, that starts to crumble as you step into that beautiful elevated version of yourself. Then again, in the group, we would say, okay, what's your main takeaway from this step? What did you get excited about to hear that, yes, you are fully empowered to recognize the strategy that's dropping your energy, and you can also do something about it. We also went on a beautiful process to trust support. This was a process where we went up outside of time to connect in with higher guidance from support people who really saw the potential in you. The thing with manifesting, it's about opening yourself up to trust the support, to see eye to eye with people who want to collaborate with you. And so often, if we have not had the support growing up, or we've been living by other people's standards or agenda, we are going to, again, assume those rules, those beliefs when we go out into the world. And it can generate so much anxiety because there's never enough of doing, shooting, helping to make sure that you get that validation that, yes, you're good enough. So we have to flip that around to know that, yes, I support myself, I know what I stand for, I've got my back, and that I can have discernment on who I trust in to have that guidance, that non-judgmental, curious guidance who can see my potential. So we brought in that particular resource. Very, very, very important. Then we move to rehearsing what it is that you want. And yes, we did skip step 4 to make sure people in Elevate and Evolve had enough time to rehearse these things before we shifted beliefs. So we had a look at the ways that you can rehearse what it's like to have the thing that you want. Your intuition has got your attention and your desire for the things that you want for a reason. It knows that you have had this childlike belief patterns playing out, keeping yourself small. And by wanting the thing outside of yourself, it requires you to shift your identity, to shift who you're becoming, to be that person who has that radiance and the travel and the freedom and all of the good things. When you elevate your self-worth, then yes, you're saying yes to the things that you want. And you also lead from that place for people around you to recognize, like, wow, if she can do that, I can do that too. We had a look at various ways to rehearse what it's like. So you may be in a place that's a bit uncomfortable, but even in that space, you have your imagination. You can start to mentally rehearse and train the cells of your body what it's like to be and to have the things that are on that quest for you that you want in the future you. We also looked at the way that you can elevate your energy instead of staying in those spirals. Bring in the good music, bring in something that changes your frequency, bring in the vibrancy that gets your body to move. Because every time that you elevate your energy intentionally, it's like, yes, if I can do this, I can do anything. So the rehearsal piece was a lot about recognizing what pictures do you see in your mind when you think of that future you? What conversations do you plan on having when you are that future you? What do you want to feel throughout the day when you're that future you? And what will you tell yourself when you're having the kind of day that future you has with that rich life? Now, all of this goes back to, who are you becoming? And of course, your day-to-day world with that freedom may be just as simple as having a day at home in the garden, or luxurious that you're living on an island, whatever it is that's right for you. So it's about rehearsing and knowing who you want to become. And we provided plenty of different resources within the manual about different ways that you can rehearse. Because the extroverts will love to get out there, move their body, get involved, interact with people when they're rehearsing that future you. And you got the introverts that love to just quietly like map it out, draw it out, engage with scripting, writing it out. So depending on the way that you work, you will have your own toolkit about the processes that really light you up to rehearse who you want to become. And my question is, which rehearsal method works best for you? Now, in the group program, we also had fun manifesting with tarot and our guides, knowing that, yes, the oracle cards will provide very angelic, soft, gentle, nana-like, easygoing messages. But when you engage with the tarot is very black and white. It will tell you what's getting in your way, what's in your blind spots, what you're not paying attention to. So if you want direct insights into what's stopping you from having what you want, what beliefs are getting in the way from having what you want, then yeah. We had lots of fun that particular evening with tears and laughter and ahas. It's incredible. And then we moved into beliefs. We had a look at what are beliefs, knowing that a belief is just is an idea without any facts, that we have a relationship with our experience, our people, our items, our everything. We have a relationship, and it's your belief about what it means to do that thing or to have that thing. We explored your identity, that when I have a coffee, I am a coffee drinker, it makes me feel good, I belong, I matter. And so this is why it's been easy to manifest the things that are familiar to you, because somewhere along your journey, your mind has worked out, yeah, if I do these things, I belong, I feel significant, I get that validation. Personally, I'm not somebody who drinks alcohol. So if I was to go out with friends and they're all drinking and everything else that goes with it, I feel like an outsider. And so with me, like, yeah, no, let's go out for a coffee because that's what's familiar. If we expand that out to money, you might have the friends that, okay, let's just go to a bakery for a sausage roll, versus the very wealthy kind of people that want to go out for a very fancy meal. It's like, oh, that's not me. And taking notice of your identity will also highlight the limitations about where you're keeping yourself stuck, what you're avoiding when it comes to, don't want the rejection, don't want the shame, don't want the embarrassment. So this is part of the reason why you keep yourself stuck in that lack of movement, the lack of progression. And then we also had a look at your money beliefs. Now, the money beliefs can be quite a personal journey. A lot of vulnerabilities come up when it comes to money. Even though money is a blessing, it's a tool, there can be a lot of shame, vulnerabilities, and people can only take so much pain and self-inquiry in digestible mouthfuls, which sounds a bit crazy. It's like, no, Claire, clear all the limiting beliefs, clear all of the everything about money. But there's so many layers about money and your survival and your belonging and are you a hard worker and all of the things that guarantee that there'll be food on the table tomorrow. There are so many layers when it comes to money that really does take that in-depth, personalized coaching process. So within Elevate and Evolve, what we did was we started to collapse your ideas about those fixed, rigid ideas about how hard it is to move the money stuff, the beliefs, and we played with it within the spoons. So remember, we did that particular process to say, okay, write down, people with money are, my biggest fear about money is, and then we changed it and we flipped the script to people with spoons are, my biggest fear about spoons, ... And start to notice how silly the relationship and fixed ideas about money and how hard it is to get is just nonsense in the way that it's been holding you back. You can definitely shift those money beliefs. And I have seen it. It does not sound believable, but of course, manifesting is not believable. It's the unconscious mind working within reality, not the logical mind, that I have seen shifting people's money beliefs where they have paid off their mortgage in 6 months, or they have been able to buy their house that they haven't been able to afford very, very soon after shifting their limiting beliefs. So that's thrilling. And hopefully with more group coaching, we will be able to guide people through individual processes that allow people to experience what it's like to shift that old identity with money. As I said, people can only take so much emotional pain and shifts at a time. And if you remember your beginning with your personal development, you remember back then when, if it was me or another coach or Jess would take you through a little 20-minute process, like, oh, I'm exhausted. Like, what was that? Versus now where we could probably fill in 2 hours and like, yep, give me more, like I'm a sponge. Like, let's move this, because you can anticipate and be ready for it. But we are shifting your identity, and that's huge because you've spent a lot of time being a child creating this fixed idea of who you are, and then we untrain all of that and then build in the strategy for success. So a lot goes into it. So now the ripple effect when you shift your limiting beliefs. Consider it a little bit like that progression, like the steps, the ripple effect, that we shift that limiting belief about, what have I got here? If I disappoint others, I'll be judged. So we first recognize what is the limiting belief. I can't have what I want, or if I disappoint others, I'll be rejected or judged. And we question that. Is that actually true? Is that really true that you're going to be judged and rejected? And by the way, if you're hanging out with people who are so readily available to judge and disapprove of you, what are you doing with those people? So we start to shift that belief that that's no longer serving you. What happens from there is once that belief is shifted, then you begin to question the old story, the one that you used to accept as truth. So the fear starts to soften, like, oh my gosh, what will people think? Oh my God, I can't do that. And actually, what if I did do that? What else is possible? If I do elevate, am I going to look down on people? Am I worried that they're going to look up to me? Because the relationships have now changed. And so what are we doing here when we start to shift those limiting beliefs is to start to embrace the new you, and therefore being able to wipe the slate clean with the way that it was, and now being a bit more selective with what you say to people, how much you share, and how much you start to collaborate and bring in the people who accept your point of view. So the words start to change. Instead of like agreeing, like, okay, I won't do that, it's like, okay, yeah, I care about you, and this is also what I need. So you stop rescuing other people and you start to care for yourself. And I've seen this time and time again, even within my own personal friendships, where I've shifted a belief about how much I'm willing to tolerate or what I'm willing to stand for, how much people can throw their nonsense in my direction and expect me to stay there. Like, I'm not staying here for you to throw that rubbish around. Have some decency, have some respect. And so then it's like, well, I'm not going to be here to rescue you with that one. Can see your point of view, but I'm now shifting. I'm now no longer putting up with this. And if you want to stay in my world, this is now what's required. Not from you, but from me. Like, I will move. I will take a step, and I will happily not be in that space if you're going to be rude. And it goes this other way as well, right? It's like, yes, this is fantastic to be invited out for coffee with people who want to see me for me and not have me coach them. It's like, yes, let's go do that exciting thing. Yes, let's go to Toastmasters and do that presentation, because it's no longer operating from, oh my gosh, if I disappoint others, I'll be judged. The next piece here, new choices start to become available because you're now saying different things. So you're now creating more space for honesty. People can share their perspective and you don't take it personally. So stop over-functioning, stop putting on the mask, stop doing all of the things that was making your energy drained and exhausted. And so new choices are available to you. So your actions are authentic. It's like, yes, I can help you, but I have to do this for myself first, or however it works. Now, because your nervous system is taking notice that you're respecting what you need, what's important to you, there's this renewal of energy, mental clarity, that you can trust what you need matters and that you will prioritize it. So this is where new relationships will start to come in and change. And that's what we've seen in Elevate and Evolve. People have really built these beautiful friendships because there's honesty and authenticity and not taking it personally. And then the next thing here starts to shift within the neural pathways is that your values of what's important to you are something that are non-negotiable, what you stand for, what's important to you. And in fact, I say this with a sense of humor, but it's like going on social media and say, woohoo, like, who can I get rid of? Now that sounds disrespectful, but often when we have the old belief about, like, if I disappoint others, they're going to judge me. Oh my gosh, I have to change who I am and conform and da 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 da. Like, no. Let those people who do not match with your values disqualify you. Let them walk away. Let them work out that they're not a good match. And I was like, great, because now I can have those genuine, authentic connections with the person in front of me and have that respect, have those boundaries, have the collaboration. And this is what I do want for you, is that to live by your values, because that will energize you to to the top. And so now this is you living in alignment with your purpose. There's this new identity. You're making an impact and you expand beyond your personal growth. You now have the nervous system, the beliefs, the capacity, the state to be able to contribute to other people. And those who ask for your assistance is like, yeah, cool, I can help. And you start to question, okay, how can it get any better? So you do move up this scale. And you can do it as fast as you want or as slow as you want. Slower tends to be those who just stay in the self-coaching mode, happy to take one step at a time, explore all the different options. Whereas when you get that personalized coaching, as you're there in your box of limitations, the coach, like seeing you swimming your laps, can work out very quickly what's holding you back. And I had a particular client where she was running through this belief about doing her best versus being her best. So the doing her best it was causing her to do her best, give to others, say yes to the things, do, prove, do your best. When we shifted it to be your best, this now came into alignment with what got her to light up, to be that guiding light for others, to be the representation of what it means to live within alignment to what matters. And so it'll be very subtle when you start to do a lot of the advanced work. It'll be very subtle as you highlight your limitation, and you need someone who can absolutely identify it and create a big lot of change instead of, session after session, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping things will change. I use the metaphor like getting the apprentice to come in to fix your plumbing and, mess up the kitchen or the bathroom, tear off the tiles or plaster, all the time that it takes, versus getting somebody in who's a master, who's been doing it for so long, like they tap the pipe, clears the block, and you don't have to deal with the time, the consequences, and the mess. So I've gone off on a tangent as I do, but this is what you'll notice when you hear people on social media talk about boundaries and living to your values. It does start with the beliefs. Then we did a beautiful process which required us to think about how much money do you currently earn within those limitations in your limiting beliefs, and to think about how much money you want to earn this time next year. And so then we grew our money tree, went on that incredible walk to raise your vibration, to plant the seed of success, to know that instead of operating from scarcity and lack and, oh my gosh, where is it? We're now reducing that fear, and we're now clearing that garden, like we've pulled out all of the weeds so that you've planting this seed of success, that yes, you can continue raising your energy and doing what's right for you. So this process was incredible. I was really proud of this one. Took about a week of really channeling it in and then recording it, and just, so exciting. And in the group, we would say, okay, so what's your main takeaway from this particular step? What was the belief, the aha, that got you to have that ripple effect? And so now we move to step 6. Step 6 is about surrendering attachment. Now, this one is quite subtle. Most people may or may not recognize what I've done with these particular illustrations. So I'm being a bit cheeky here to point it out. Step 1, we said, okay, what do you want? And I want that new car. Then there's a picture there of the woman who's tolerating and shooting herself with the problematic old car. We looked at the childhood beliefs about what it is to have your car or your toys, or I have what I want or not. We then take off the thing that shifts your reality. We then looked at, okay, what are the beliefs? How can we shift your reality so that you can see the life that you want to live? Step 5 is about rehearsing. What will it be like when I have my car? Now, step 6 is actually saying here that you're not in a car anymore. You're actually, flying high in a plane. And so the car doesn't actually matter that much anymore. If you're flying and you've got your driver, or who needs the car? But that's the interesting thing with step 6, is to surrender the attachment, about wondering how can it get any better? And of course, step 7 is taking action, and step 8 is if I'm the flyer, I'm also the driver. I could definitely have the car. So hopefully that hasn't confused you. But at step 6, this is where your intuition has worked its magic, and you are noticing within your self-worth how good you feel within yourself, how good your body feels, how much you trust your boundaries, that you will stick to what you want. And the outer world starts to reflect that. There's no more noise and chaos and people that drain your energy. There's now that surrender, the presence, the elegance in noticing the abundance in Mother Nature with the fragrance of the flowers or the droplets of the rain. And now you're responding differently to your life. There's no more triggers per se. The neediness has dropped away. And so, again, your intuition has done it's worked its magic, because you are now that new version of you, with or without the car. You know that, yes, I'm at ease with whatever life brings me. And here we are. We have covered so much together, and we're not even finished here. But this is, again, where you get the steps to have what you want. So here we are. And this is like opening your eyes to a whole new you. You hear me say that after every particular process, because it is like opening your eyes to a whole new you. You are no longer operating from a time stream that was limiting and drained your energy. It's like, wow, I'm seeing colors that I haven't seen before because I raised my frequency. And so now we're up to taking inspired action, step 7. Now, a lot of the time when people manifest, the thing that sparks them and gets their attention about manifesting is, what do I want? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? And people don't actually ask themselves the deeper question, who do I want to be? This is where manifesting is a solo journey. This is where your intuition has got your attention on that thing outside of yourself, to be able to look within about the limitations you had and to shift those so that you match with the outer world. But when we come back to that question, like, who do you want to be? It can feel like staring at a blank page. It can feel like staring at a blank canvas if you're an artist. The uncertainty, the anxiety can be driven up a little bit there. All of those things are like, okay, gosh, if I could be anything, have anything, do anything, okay, what am I going to do? Who do I want to be? And that's where we need to have a look at what's going on that's holding the resistance in place with that question, who do you want to be? So if you're being the new you, what do you naturally do? When you think about that future you, what are you doing? Because the future you is not someday. It's not when it's perfect. The future you is now. It's happening now. And that's what we worked out with the rehearsal. It's like you now and getting the world to catch up to you. So when we think about who do you want to be, here is a question to highlight what is getting in the way of that, working out that clarity, like, who do I want to be? If you think for a moment of an area of your life that you are excelling, what are you best at? Are you best at starting things? Are you best at changing things? Are you best at finishing things? Just think of a particular project that you enjoyed, and which chapter were you the best at? And now I want you to consider an area of your life that you feel stuck. What are you the worst at? Are you the worst at starting things, changing things, or finishing things? And just to consider that for a moment there. Each one is going to give some insight into where the next layer of resistance is sitting. So to get an insight into you, we're going to have a look at, have you got an issue with being, doing, or having? Those who are worst at starting things, there's a really deep core issue going on about who do I want to be. So to start something, start a course, like, oh, okay, I've got to start this course and be a doctor. Am I a doctor? Am I going to start this particular project and do social media? Like, am I that person? Whatever you're having trouble with, if you're having trouble with starting, it's talking about the kind of performance, the kind of delivery about who you want to be. So you've done this big general sort of big picture of, again, that identity. If you're having trouble with, if you're the worst at changing things, the doing, then there's going to be this particular undercurrent about why can't I just do what I want to do? So there may be some resistance going on with pleasing for others, and you kind of procrastinate, worried about their judgment, because apparently there's this undercurrent of like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to you to know that I'm good enough? So there's going to be some procrastination there. And then finally, we've got, if you're worst at finishing things, then there's a challenge here within the identity about having what you want. So there could be some challenges here with that perfection to, again, avoid other people's judgment. Once it's done, like, what will people think? Will I be included? Will I be judged? Will I be shamed? So the having of something, if you thought, okay, I've got my car, like, is it perfect? Am I going to get judged? Am I going to belong? All the things, right? So when it comes to looking at the really core issues with your identity and any other layers of hesitation, we're going to have a look at the be, do, have. Because stuckness isn't just about that motivation or poor planning. When you think about people who procrastinate and it's like, okay, just do these things. Like, no, there's not an issue with the doing. People who are procrastinating have issues with the end result of people judging them. So that needs to be resolved. So we're looking at here with the be, do, have model about how much you're worried about other people's opinion of you, what you're doing, what you're having. And again, one more time, if you're struggling to start, you may be asking, who do you want me to be? Leading to that masking, leading to that overthinking. So instead of who do you want me to be, who do I want to be? Definitely had this issue with doing public speaking, going on YouTube. Okay, what do you want me to say? I'm like, well, Claire, what do you want to say? Like, I'll say whatever you want me to say to make sure that, you could see where it was going, right? It's just like, who do you want to be? If you struggle to change, you may be asking, okay, what do you want me to do? Leading to procrastination and a fear of getting it wrong, according to somebody else. You may see this with somebody who's gone to uni, done all of the good things to get security, and they're miserable. And it's like, but what do you want to do? I'm like, well, actually, I want to do events management, or I want to do something that's unconventional to what the family said I should be doing. And then finally here, if you struggle to finish, you may be asking, okay, what do you want me to have? Leading to perfectionism and the fear of being judged. So instead, what do I want to have? And again, noticing that there's a whole dynamic going on with other people's approval. So naming the step is the very first piece. And when you understand what you're wrestling with, now you can structure the action plan to support your nervous system. So you don't override it, but you honor it, and you can start to reclaim that personal freedom. So when you take the time to answer that deeper question, who do I want to be? Here's the strategy that will get you into that zone of who do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? So let's get into it. Can you remember a time when you were totally ecstatic, completely excited, and allow yourself to remember that moment? For me, I remember when Morris was a puppy and he came home. Oh my gosh, he was so cute and exciting, the little puppy. But for you, going to a moment where it was really exciting for you. And now, as you're in that, noticing that moment, what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, letting those feel-good feelings come to the surface, as you remember that time when you were totally excited, it's like taking a snapshot. What is present in that ecstatic moment that's not usually present in your day-to-day world? You may notice that in that ecstatic state, where you're just being absolutely you, without worrying about what people think, not worried about what they're observing, not worried about their judgment. It's just you in that moment. I go back to that Morris. I probably sounded like an idiot, but I didn't care. It was all about me and Morris, the excitement, the manifestation. He'd finally come true. It was in front of me. And there's that excitement. And then when you think about when you're excited, what's actually missing when you're excited? That's usually in your present, normal, day-to-day world. Normally, when people are stressed or stuck in that day-to-day grind, there's pressure to perform, there's the inner critic, the self-doubt, the mental chatter. You will notice that when you're in that excited state, there's this like, yeah! There is no worried about what people think. It's just you being you. And so when you're in that excited state, and Jess would play the music like right now, I'd be like, woohoo! You're not worrying about problems. You're in that present moment. The creative energy is going. You're making things happen. And you're simply being your amazing self. It's just like that full body tingles from the top of your head down the tips of your toes. It's like, yes, let's make things happen right now. So in that ecstatic state, it's like grab your pen, let your hand follow that clarity of your intuition. It's time to write down the inspired practical steps. When I got up to this stage with manifesting my car, it was like, yep, the practical step 101 was to ask my daughter, who's a mechanic, about her car insights. Like, which one do I want? Which brand do you see that's always being fixed? Which one is more reliable? All of my values, what did I want? Explore the financing options, sell the old car, which paid for the new car, book the test drive, say yes. The interesting thing, I had this impulse of excited energy because I'd done a lot of things like, David, we have to go to the car dealership right now. And we got there, and wouldn't you know it, there was this new car that was going to be for a rep. They changed their mind. The new car had not been driven, wasn't a test drive, it wasn't a test car. It was there, it was a new car. It had everything that I wanted. And it was like 10 grand cheaper or something ridiculous. It was just like, I was like, yep, manifesting's working. So I handled the paperwork and made it happen. And so this is what's happening when you get into this excited state and you get that pulse of like, oh my gosh, I've got to do that thing, because it's like, yes, or I've got to ask that person about what I should be doing. Like, get this list written out when you're feeling in that uplifted, curious state. You're now creating that divine timing. You're now activating that divine timing. And again, you get that pull, that excitement. The price is right. Everything lines up because you've done the inner work. You sit in that car and you're like, yes, of course, this is my car, because you've already rehearsed it. There's no surprises. So remember that the universe doesn't respond to how hard you're working. That's your old relationship with, getting your pocket money or grandparents' survival mechanism, working hard. When you're working with the unconscious mind and your intuition, you're manifesting based on what you believe about yourself, your self-worth, and you're going to attract in either the lessons that you need to elevate or to evolve, or you're going to attract in the opportunities that light you up, that give you the rich life that you want. And so this is how you start to become the person that does the traveling, that has the home, that is the career shifter, the award-winning author, the friend, the millionaire. This is about shifting your identity. Now, had we said that right at the beginning, it would have been a daunting, overwhelming kind of, right? Like, shift my identity? Oh. But getting you very strategically to take the steps in the right order that supports your nervous system, that supports your curiosity, that supports your trust in yourself. It's like, yeah, well, of course I'm going to be this next version of myself. Like, of course. It's all by design. So here we are in that position to receive and celebrate. And boy, oh boy, I hope that you are celebrating that success, celebrating even the good car park, celebrating getting the thing on sale, getting the thing gifted to you, having the cash to buy it just because you want it, whatever it is, having the love life, the job opportunity. Your intuition has done its job, your energy is elevated, and your identity has evolved. So it's time to move with clarity and confidence to celebrate your win. It's so exciting, right? Because when you elevate, you evolve, you definitely manifest in. And we've seen this evidence time and time again. So together, again, we elevate and evolve. This has been a huge journey and a huge opportunity and an honor and a privilege to walk alongside you on this journey. And I really do wish you the best when it comes to manifesting exactly what you want and to be able to celebrate and have the rich life that your intuition is calling you to have. I'm Claire Chancellor, and I know Jess will be saying hi too. And we will talk to you later. Bye.